clown. That's what you. Why don't you call me a cardboard bishop now? You tough. Call me a cardboard bishop now.
He's not gonna call you that.
Huh? Look on Facebook Live. Call me a cardboard bishop now. You clown. That's what you are. You clown. That's what you are. Why don't you say what you said on Facebook Live, sucker?
No.
Hello, everyone. It is Pam Esquire, also known as Your Law Intellect. Who do we have here?
Hey, y'all. What's up?
We have our co-counsel in his house.
Yes, I've been the co-counsel, y'all.
Yeah, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for coming and supporting this late, waiting for me to get up off of a plane. But today was the day. Today was the day. I wasn't going to leave you guys hanging on all of the details because we were there to see it all. Make sure you do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. Thank you, and shout out to everybody that said that they wanted us to ride Uber Black. You know what I'm saying? They started sending the cash up. Like, okay, intellect, you guys.
Yeah, the intellect put it out. Yes.
And making us feel like you appreciate the fact that I haven't slept in 2 days.
Because we worked hard for y'all these last 24 hours. Can I tell them? Can I tell them, sis?
Go ahead. You can tell them.
Really Big got up Sunday morning and went to see her daddy. Then drove up to the Newark airport and picked Pam up. And then we went on over to the hotel. Okay. Then we went out to dinner. And we got up early this morning. Was headed, got breakfast, we had to take an Uber to the courthouse. We got to the courthouse. We was a little early because we wasn't sure about traffic. But we got to the courthouse. Went through security and everything. We was the first ones in the room. We was in the room before Whitehead was in the room.
So when we get there, we were about an hour early. So we got there a little bit after 9 and it was starting at 10. Yeah. So we were like, okay, let's go down and sit in the cafeteria, before we go up. So we go sit in the cafeteria. And then we're like, okay, it was like 9:45. We're like, okay, let's go up to the courtroom. The judge is on the 11th floor. So we go up to the 11th floor. And as soon as we come out the elevator, the first thing I see, Whitehead that had some support. His mama was there. The lady that I told you, the young lady that had been coming to support him. It was some other man that was there. I don't know who he was, but Rasheed Anderson told me that a couple of those people were people that went to the church when he was there. So I guess he had some church members there, and they was looking at me like,
steak eye. The steak eye.
I was like, what did I do? And then Really B, as soon as she get out, she run over to him. I gotta go to his bathroom. So she went over to the bathroom. So I was just over
don't make me feel like I left you hanging, Pam. I told you where I was going. I said I gotta go to the bathroom. You came with me. You could have came with me. Pam being Billy Badass was like, I'm scared. I'm good.
I was good. I was like, man, whatever. I was like, whatever, but clearly they don't like me. I was like, today just might be the day somebody get a little froggish. But it was all good. So then they opened up the courtroom and we went in there. So then, it was the us versus them. So all the people that was, coming, I guess, were on one side. Then his family was on the other side and his friends or whatever, or church members. And so we sitting there for a minute. And then Whitehead comes in. I'm about to stand up.
He looked bad, y'all. He looked bad.
He looked bad.
I ain't even gonna lie, y'all. He looked bad.
Yeah, we're not even exaggerating.
Nah. He's definitely lost weight.
Yeah.
He's lost weight. He had a beard.
That's what that was?
Okay. A raggedy beard. His hair grew out.
Yeah.
It wasn't an afro, but it was longer than what he normally wears it. Yeah, he looked, I ain't gonna lie, y'all. He did look bad.
Hair was like BB shots and cowboy knots. But he had the brown jumpsuit and he came in, right? So when he came in, his family was like, let me take this cord out before I fall, and then you guys be laughing at me while I'm getting up trying to talk. So his family is like, when you first coming through the door. So he came in with the marshals, and he had his hands, you know, he was shackled and he had his hands and stuff, and he seen his family. He was like,
yeah, he was smiling. Oh, he was smiling when he saw his family.
Yeah, he was smiling because
you saw his teeth. He was just a cheese. He was so happy to see them there.
He was quite happy he had people there, because I've been there how many times and I haven't seen anybody but that one lady. And then the one guy, I think I did see one person there before, but that's it. So then you want to talk about the beginning, because you know what, really be, you weren't really paying attention in the beginning. Let's just be honest and tell
Listen, I got my notes, man. Don't play with me. I got my notes. But I ain't gonna lie, the beginning part I was a little bored. I'm not gonna lie. I was a little bored. Let me read what I have for my notes. I wrote Pauline and Rasheed were there. Miss Pauline was there. Rasheed. I wrote Mama, maybe brother and sister. I was writing. I was taking notes. I wrote facial hair, khaki jumpsuit, smile when he saw his family. See, I wrote all of this in my notes. I wrote he lost weight. Then we got into the pre-sentencing report. They did an objection to the amount of victims. Child, why they do an objection? They said that the prosecutor said he had 200 victims. They were trying to say no, it wasn't 200. It was only 90. But why the judge was like, well, I'm going to keep that the same because that's what the document said.
So what she's talking about is, so when you have a pre-sentencing report, which comes from the probation office, and they basically they get all your information, and then they get your past information, how you grew up, your financial information. That's how we heard about the child support and all of that stuff. Mm-hmm. That came from the pre-sentencing report. So when you go over the pre-sentencing report, as attorneys, you have the right to make objections if there are factual inaccuracies to the pre-sentencing report, like they got it wrong. So initially the judge asked, are there any objections? And so one of the objections that Whitehead's attorney had was when the government, I guess when the probation officer was describing his past criminal history and what he was accused of, they said it was 35 victims. They were arguing it was like 10 or less than 10 or something, but the judge basically overruled the objection because she said it really has no bearing on the sentencing. So it's like, we don't really care, basically. I mean, that's what she said. So they went back and forth on who had objections, and it wasn't really anything major to even talk about. But then they got into the whole pre-sentencing, I mean, the actual guidelines. Now we went over that over here they're very complicated. It's very difficult, of which they look at certain factors and group your charges, and you get points associated to the factors depending on what the charge is, and you get enhancements for criminal convictions. You get enhancement if like you're in a position of fiduciary duty, things of that nature, and then you get a total of points added up, and then that's how they get the guidelines. But the judge started out letting everyone know, like I told you guys, is the sentencing guidelines is a recommendation. It's kind of a starting point, but you have the statute, which is what most of you guys were reading while you were upset with some people that were upset with the 9 years. The statute will say up to 40 years, up to 20 years, up to 5 years. So people were adding up like, shoot, that's 20. You know, he should get enhanced. So that should be 40. I think that's where people were getting it. And I was telling you, that's why I said I thought it would be between 10 and 15. And the reason why I said it is because I know when you have sentencing guidelines, and most judges will kind of lean on that. So when you have your sentencing guidelines, you go in between those guidelines, typically. Sometimes you can go below them, you can go above them, but that's where they get it. So I wasn't really shocked at the amount, even though it seemed real egregious. When you look at it, the Andersons are physical victims. Like when it came to the victim impact statements, you had Rasheed and you had Miss Pauline that came up to give the impact statement. And the reasoning being is because the rest of them are like financial institutions. I mean, they probably get got all the time. So they weren't even. So when you look at it from that perspective, it's bad. But the actual victims that you have would be like Pauline and Rasheed Anderson. Got anything to add? Tracy said I was looking for 15 years. Dang, Tracy.
You know, Tracy rough. Tracy is rough now.
So after I'm not gonna like bore you guys with the guidelines, but generally that's what it is. And the judge, she got to a 28 as the total offense, and that's how she got to her numbers which she got. Now there was some back and forth because of part of also of your points would be how much the loss is or how much the actual some is actual or intended loss. And so he had a whole list of different financial institutions. So you had that, so like with the house, for instance, that just went into foreclosure, the government wanted him to get like all of that money to be towards a loss, intended loss, that he got that house with fraudulent documents. Also, that building in Connecticut, that he got that building in Connecticut with fraudulent documents. Well, the way the government, the judge kind of leaned towards the defense and said that you have to add the collateral too, because those had collateral. So we know the house sold, so he gets credit for that. So it reduced it. So the government was saying it was $4 million in losses, over $4 million, which will put him in a higher category. And the judge basically said it was like 1.7, I think she said that the amount of loss was. So they was finagling over that for a while too. So a lot of that was just boring, I mean, but it is, you know what?
I'm just saying. I was just agreeing with you, Pam.
So she was saying the loss was $1 million.
Pam cut me up the night before. Listen, Pam cut me up Sunday night, so I was still a little sleepy.
Oh my gosh. So the loss was $1,476,542. And so she basically, when the house sold, there was a profit. So the house was worth more. So there was a profit. So he had the main loan on his house. Then he took out equity. So both of those were considered. And the equity, it was covered by the main. It ended up being covered because of what they're saying the value was. And the same thing with the building. The Connecticut building, the taxable value was maybe like $2 million or something, and that's what the government wanted. But because it was in foreclosure, remember, there was an appraisal that was done that made it worth more than $4 million. So the government, the judge gave them that. So that reduced it some. So yeah. So the judge basically said the $250,000 principal from Fundera. It was no loss from the house. Bethpage, which was another place he took out money, it was $141,542, which was the principal. FM Home Loans, that's the Connecticut building, that was zero loss because the 4.4 appraised value exceeded the principal amount of what he took out on the, for the building. Then Connect One was $1 million, and then of course $85,000 for Miss Pauline. So that's where she got the $1,476,000. And she let everyone know she really wasn't relying on the guidelines like that, because she said it doesn't really encompass everything with him. Like you can't the guidelines, if you perjured yourself on the stand, it doesn't encompass that. So she kind of took from the guidelines, but then she also looked at other factors that you can look at in the statute when she ended up coming up with the 9 years.
Well, she did call him out about that, honey.
Was she? So the government wanted 2-point enhancement because they said it was abuse of trust. She said that the judge said it's not an abuse of trust because Whitehead wasn't in a fiduciary duty.
Right.
So that wasn't an abuse of trust. So he didn't get that. They didn't enhance the sentence based on that.
I understood what she was saying, but I don't know if I necessarily agree. But I understood what her point of view was on that, but
you ain't agree with it.
No, I didn't agree because of the relationship and because of who he was in the church. I didn't agree.
Yeah, I think she's looking at it more like he's being in control. He was not in control of her assets, like a fiduciary. That's what she was saying.
And that's what I understood it. Yeah. I did understand that, but I mean, But
so after they went through all the rigmarole, then Miss Pauline got up. Miss Pauline was going to get up to do her victim impact statement. If you guys listen to the video of which I went over Pauline's statement that she turned in, she basically read the same statement. She read the same statement that we went over here. So at first, we're sitting in the gallery. So we're on one row and Miss Pauline and Rasheed were behind us. So when they asked, I guess at first Miss Pauline is very soft spoken. So they asked her, did she want to do it from where she was at? And she's like, yeah, because Miss Pauline told us when we talked to her that she wasn't going to come. And you can tell from the letter that she wasn't going to come because she put that she can't bring herself to come to court. But Rasheed is the one that encouraged her and said that she needed to come to court. So she starts out with her letter. And she has the microphone, but then she was talking so low. And Whitehead was like in front because we're behind him. And he actually did turn around and was like looking. I was like, oh, okay, maybe he got a little he gonna get up and say he's sorry or something. I really thought he was gonna get up and say, I'm sorry. I know y'all probably
we'll get to him. We'll get to that.
So this was the impact statement because we went over it before where she says, she starts out and, she was very tearful. If you were in my membership, I tried to give you guys the blow by blow as it was happening. But this was her impact statement where she says, since May of 2021, my family and I have endured an indescribable amount of emotional, mental, physical, and financial suffering since Mr. Whitehead took my $90K. I lost everything I had worked for, including my extra funds, which I had to use to cover my over $40,000 in legal bills and penalties for taking an early withdrawal from my retirement fund, which included both federal and state. And she was tearful through the whole thing. Like it was.
She was toe up, crying and stuff.
She said the anguish associated with having to repay taxes on funds the accused personally spent while I was left with nothing is indescribable. In January 2022, I had surgery, after which I spent 4 months on disability, earning nothing. When I returned to work, my pay was deducted for 6 months for owing state taxes on that $90K. All of this has resulted in a mountain of debt that I have been attempting to repay for the past 3 years without success, leaving me in financial devastation and difficulty. Then the defendant didn't believe he had inflicted enough suffering. Now, she really was crying on this. She was like, then the defendant didn't believe he had inflicted enough suffering, proceeded to soothe Rasheed and myself, adding to my financial woes by forcing me to get a lawyer and find more money to pay for the services. And she had to stop for a minute. But she said, Miss Pauline said she was going to fight through this, and she did. She said the emotional and physical turmoil was the hardest. I couldn't sleep at night, and when I did, I woke up for hours thinking about how I had innocently and trustingly handed the defendant $90,000 to invest in a property for me to live in. I was also recovering from pulmonary embolism, the worst disease I've ever had, and being cheated out of my life saving during this time broke my heart, spirit, and soul. I was gutted. How could I pick up the parts of my damaged self to return to work and sympathize with the individuals I serve? How do I help my patients cope and make decisions that affect their treatment while I'm facing not just the worst illness of my life, but also the worst person to ever take my money? I couldn't even tell some of my family members that was going on because I didn't want them to be frightened, lose hope, or become angry at me for allowing myself to be in this predicament. It was difficult for me to maintain my calm at work, and I eventually had to take medical leave to deal with my sadness and loss, both in terms of health and financial loss. I wondered myself 100 times how I had gotten here. And the whole time she's reading this, Rasheed's behind us and he's sniffling. So he upset too. So he's sitting behind us and all you hear is
right.
He was upset. God, why would the accused spend the money on anything other than what was intended with no place to live? My sister was dragging herself up 3 flights of stairs after suffering repeated hemorrhagic strokes, which left her with reduced vision and limb paralysis. My mother, who is Asian and experienced mobility concerns, was also physically challenged. This $90,000 was meant to get me a house, the pinnacle of my efforts and sacrifices, and proof that even as a single mother, I could succeed. Thank you for allowing to speak, Your Honor. I seek restitution for the money the defendant has taken. I'm in great pain. Couldn't even muster the courage today to relive this experience. That's why she said that she couldn't muster up the courage because she didn't plan on coming.
Uh-huh. Yep.
But Miss Pauline did end up coming. And yeah. So then once she got finished, then Rasheed came up and he also provided, he had a statement, but we didn't go over his. So this is the first time. The first time I never read it, even though I know it was filed. It was filed after I did my live, but I never read it. But I knew that he had filed one and he read his as well. So he got up and he actually, when it was time to do his victim impact statement, he couldn't even get himself together at first.
Yeah, it took him a minute.
I was like, yeah, I didn't think he was going to be able to do it, but he got up there. It took him a while. He stood there for a minute and, he was trying to get himself together. We got to get to the restitution. We'll get to the restitution in a minute. So excuse me. Your Honor, my name is Rasheed Anderson, and I'm writing this statement to express the profound and devastating impact that Lamar Whitehead's actions have had on myself, my mother, Pauline Anderson, and our entire family. I was born and raised in Jamaica. I am 30 years old, married, and have 2 children. I have dedicated myself to building a better future for my family. My mother, who was married at the time, was left to care for me as a baby and my 3-year-old brother when my father ran off to the United States. I was like,
right. When he said that, I was like, damn.
I met my father once when I was 8 and never saw him again. I was like, oh.
I guess if Whitehead could tell the story about his daddy, he could tell his story too. I mean, I'm just paying in my line.
My mother's strength and resilience in raising us alone have always been a source of inspiration for me. Unfortunately, the crime committed by the defendant has caused significant emotional, financial, and physical distress to us all. I was used and taken advantage of, and because of that, every day I have to see my mother suffer due to Lamar Whitehead's deceit, which is incredibly painful. My mother, who is 58 years old, was defrauded out of $90,000 by the defendant. This incident has severely affected her and our family in ways that words can hardly capture. My mother, a native of Jamaica, was the first of her mother's 7 children. She spent her 10 years focused on achieving a career and creating opportunities for her less fortunate siblings. She completed her nursing degree in Jamaica, became an international nurse, worked in Scotland, London, and Florida, and finally settled in New York. I said, go on, Miss Pauline.
Right. I was like, okay, Miss Pauline. I wrote that in my notes. I said, okay, she's traveling the world. Yeah.
That's what you put. Okay, that's what you put in your notes. Go on.
I wrote travel the world. I did write travel the world. Now don't play with that. I wrote she was traveling the world.
Despite becoming a single mother, she saved diligently, supported us financially, and helped her siblings in Jamaica complete their education. Her dreams of buying a home has been a lifelong ambition, but she has always selflessly put the needs of others above her own. My mother has always been the driving force behind my brother and me, pushing us towards success and education in life. When we finished one degree, she encouraged us to pursue the next. What about your master's? She would say. When that was finished, she would say, what about your doctorate? As a form of encouragement, she suggested, let's all do this together, you, me, and Miguel. Oh. Despite her acute illness, her focus was always on providing for her family and achieving her lifelong dream of buying a home. The defendant broke her soul, and when she saw the text messages he sent to her, she was devastated. Even now, however, she talks about this. She either tears up or outright cries. It hurts me as her son to see her like this, and she has been defrauded. My mother and I, who trusted the defendant, believed that her investment was safe, and the betrayal she experienced led to severe emotional distress. She suffers from depression and anxiety, feelings that are compounded by the trauma of the fraud. My grandmother, who is 77, and my aunt, who is battling a brain tumor, have also been deeply affected. The stress of this situation has taken a toll on my entire family's mental health. My wife, Jeriana, lives in constant fear of potential retaliation from the defendant, which only adds to our collective anxiety and sense of insecurity. The $90,000 that my mother lost was not just a financial blow, but a devastating setback to her plans of finding and purchasing a home. Additionally, our family has spent over $50,000 in a civil lawsuit against the defendant in an attempt to recover the stolen funds. These expenses have drained our savings and diverted resources that could have been used to secure my mother's future and well-being. I work tirelessly daily to build my real estate business, striving to provide for my family and help my mother achieve her dream of home ownership. However, the drawn-out civil case has made it incredibly challenging to make progress. The stress and anxiety from this situation have also impacted me and my mother's physical health. She has experienced increased blood pressure and other stress-related health issues. The overall well-being of our family has deteriorated as we struggle to cope with the emotional and financial strain. Almost 4 years have been lost with more medical challenges, escalating legal fees, and not a cent of that money has been returned to date. I told him, I said, why don't you just give that lady her money back?
Everybody told that man, just get that lady her money back.
Now look where we are.
Look where he is.
That's true.
We at home. We at home.
That's
look
true.
Where he is. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. After 4 years have been lost with more medical challenges, escalating legal fees, and not a cent of that money has been returned, there are no words to explain my mother's grief and loss fully, but she continues to push on for herself and our family. In conclusion, the defendant's fraudulent actions have caused irreparable harm to my mother and our entire family. We have been emotionally devastated, financially strained, and physically impacted by this crime. I hope the court considers the severe consequences of his action and sees the suffering he has caused, and we hope for a resolution that will prevent him from harming others in the future. Thank you for allowing me to tell my story. And then he walked away. And I thought that Whitehead would look at him, but he didn't.
Pam, they told me up, Pam. I got emotional. I got a little emotional. They was crying. And then when he sat down, they was holding hands.
Yes, it was
emotional, Pam.
Yeah. It's just bad. Then the government got up, they just the government got up like, listen, I don't take this lightly when I say that he needs some severe punishment. Did you take notes from the government?
I did. Let me get to my notes. Let me see. That's Pauline. Let me see. The government. Right here. Here go my notes on the government.
We're seeing how much of an intellect she is. We're seeing what she's learned over her time.
But I mean, Pam was clowning me because I dated my paper at the top and everything. She said, "Why you doing a heading like you in school?"
I'm like, you putting your name on there too? You about to put your name at the top and then put the date? Is that what you're doing?
You know what I'm saying? She was clowning me, y'all.
That's your teacher?
I'm just trying to be like Pam. Pam be taking. Listen, when I say Pam be, listen. Sometimes you know how when y'all know when you were in school and the person next to you will be writing stuff down, you be sitting there, you be like, "Oh,
what
maybe
they
I should write this down
write?
too." Okay, I guess I should write this down too.
You know you write a lot. Where Rasheed said it too. She was like, she takes a whole lot of notes. She almost has it verbatim.
Okay.
But I had assistance this time. So what did you glean from the government?
So I wrote seriousness of crimes, the victims, pervasive. Oh Lord, now I can't read my own handwriting. What did it say? Pervasive. I don't know. Stole over and over again. I think that's what it basically meant. They stole over and over again, child. What does it say? I cannot read my own handwriting, y'all.
Lord.
Indifferent to his victim.
Wait. You gotta have more theatrics if you're going to report on what happened. So when the AUSA got up, he said, defendant, the seriousness. I mean, I just have to talk about the seriousness of this crime. He's devastated so many people like the Andersons.
Okay, that's what I wrote right here. Devastated.
Over and over and over again. He's defrauded everyone.
Everybody. They said he was indifferent to his victims. Right? They said his schemes lasted years. These weren't just fly by night. They lasted years. He built on these. Right?
It was month after month.
After month.
Year after year. Okay, all right. You getting it. Okay.
They said it was part of a pattern, Your Honor. This was part of a pattern with him. Okay. This is I wrote this in quotes, which means this is exactly what he said. He said, Your Honor, this is who the defendant is.
He did. He said that. He said the guidelines don't encompass the seriousness of his crime. The Andersons were vulnerable victims. And then the defendant just got on the stand and just kept perjuring himself.
I wrote that in my notes. I got that in my notes. He kept perjuring himself.
He kept perjuring himself. He got on this. He just lied. He just lied and lied. And then he talked about what he got. He said he got around 8 years in the state. And he was like, and that still didn't stop him.
It didn't stop him.
I mean, it's a high chance of recidivism because he did 8 years in the state pen and it still didn't stop. Your Honor, we got to protect the public.
I got one, Pam. I got one, Pam. I got one. I wrote this in quotes too. He said, Your Honor, he just can't stop stealing. He can't stop lying. I wrote that right there.
Yes.
Stop stealing. He can't stop lying.
Then he brought up the lawsuits that he filed. He said he even filed lawsuits against the victims. See, he was one of the first ones. He said Whitehead abused the legal process. Okay. I said that a long time ago. I said, why are you from filing all of these lawsuits? What? Why is this okay?
He sued Belmonte. He sued the Andersons. And then he wrote, he cannot accept responsibility. Nothing is ever his fault. I wrote that right there in my notes. Nothing is ever his fault.
For years, he cannot accept that he's done anything wrong ever. And then he said, and what makes this even worse is he says he's a religious leader while lying to the people.
No, Pam. You missed a word. Because I wrote that in my notes. He claims to be a religious leader.
You know what?
He did. He said the prosecutor said he
says he's a religious leader. Like he said it in a way like that's what he say. Like that's what he say. You know what I'm saying?
We don't believe it.
And then he tells the judge, you must impose a substantial sentence to incapacitate him. He said incapacitate him. He was like a substantial sentence to incapacitate him. The government doesn't take this argument lightly to say that somebody needs to be incapacitated. He said, but given all the factors, the government asked for a substantial sentence of 151 months.
That's what they said. They wanted 151.
So said, okay, the defendant, you can, and so his attorney, Don Florio, she got up, and a lot of the stuff she said, she regurgitated what was in the sentencing guidelines. Now, what she did start out, she said, first, I want to respond to what the government had to say about him lying on the stand. Okay. My defendant maintains he did not submit fraudulent applications and he maintains his innocence. And the defendant does believe he was targeted by the FBI because of his relationship with Mayor Adams. And he said, that's how defendant believes he was targeted, and that's his own feelings. And you can't deem that a lie because that's how he feels.
That's how he feels, she said.
Then he said, remember the protective order documents? He was like, that happened that he showed in Discovery and was going to put it over there in Patreon and get a couple of dollars. He said he apologized and he was a real apology. He had no intent to violate this court's order. So here we go. So then she said, well, let me go into the history and characteristics of Mr. Lamore Whitehead. Bishop Whitehead maintains his innocence. We can't ignore all that he's done for the community. He's organized charity drives, domestic violence programs. That's how I met him as the attorney. I met him when he was doing the domestic violence programs. He did the ceasefire program. Defendant used his platform to make Brooklyn a better place. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Pam. My bad. I apologize. I'll wait till he gets to his statement because I'll wait till he gets to his. My bad. I missed my bad. I'm my bad.
Okay. No worries.
I apologize.
I'm proud of you, though. I'm very proud of your note taking. Very proud. He said, defendant used his platform to make Brooklyn a better place. In fact, that's how I met him. He grew up poor. He was raised by his grandma who passed away at 108. He was a basketball player who got, girl, tell the story about the basketball.
Child. So he was a star basketball player. He got a scholarship to college. And then he got injured. But he worked his way back from that injury and was able to get another scholarship. Wait. What
was his injury?
Oh, I missed the first injury.
He got sliced.
Remember? No, that wasn't the first injury. He got hurt.
That's supposed to be what stopped him. Was he got sliced? Yeah.
Well, okay. Can I say this
to the far in the back of his head, though, right? I think.
Can I say this to the people? Mm-hmm. Allegedly, well, it ain't allegedly. He got sliced. But allegedly, he don't know why. He was just walking across campus, minding his business, and out of nowhere, he was viciously attacked, and he was sliced to the point where he had to get 100 stitches.
And we just looked at each other.
But he don't know why it happened.
It was just a random act of violence.
Just a random act.
And then he said, Lolisa, he said he had a difficult time in life since his father was killed by the police when he was a baby.
Hey, Lolisa, if me and Pam took a shot every time he mentioned his daddy during his statement, we would have they'd arrested us because we'd have been drunk. They'd arrested us for being drunk.
This is his whole argument. Honestly, Arthur Miller is his crutch to everything that's wrong, everything that's wrong about him, everything that's right about him, everything is Arthur Miller, like everything. So when she said it, I was like, here we go. So then she said, and then Mr. Whitehead suffers from PTSD when 3 armed men broke into his church and they robbed him and they held the gun at his head, and then at his 8-month-old, a 9-month-old, what's month old? What it was, a 8-month-old, 9, I forgot. She was around 8 or 9 months. Daughter, y'all heard the story. And then he said, along with the trauma, in addition to the trauma that he couldn't grow up with his father. So the PTSD is from the church and not growing up with Lolisa's daddy. You know what? I really was going to ask his mama, like, could you tell me a little bit about... But she looked at me so evil. I said, she might actually like spit on me or something. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, I don't know what this lady might do. You know, that was just my opinion. That's the feeling I was getting. But I did want to ask her. I was going to come back and tell, like, y'all, she told me to go to hell or whatever she was going to tell me, because I was going to ask her, like, listen, I need to know the story about Arthur Miller. You got a couple of minutes.
Right.
Because y'all know I don't care. I will ask the questions. All you can do is tell me no.
Worst you could say is no. But the inquiring minds.
I think we all need closure. I just wanted to know. I thought we all needed closure.
Dev is wrong.
I'm not doing it. Not doing it.
Brother Dev is wrong.
Then he talked about he is the chief apostle at Leaders of Tomorrow International Ministries. And then he basically said that this social media, if you Google his name, it's going to, New York Times, New York Post, everybody is talking about him. Like, this is so affected his life. Everybody talks about him because it's so high profile. And this is going to follow him all the days of his life, almost as if this is punishment enough, that he's going to be followed. People are going to look it up and it's this negative press about him. So she made it sound like that. No one looks like what he went through no one looks at what he went through with all this media attention. I'm like, the one he created? Because I didn't know that guy. If he would have got robbed and never came back out again, I probably would have never followed him. I probably would have never thought about anything he did. He was the one doing press conference after press conference, and then the people was in the audience like, Bishop Whitehead, what about Miss Pauline? What was that? Who is Miss Pauline? And then I looked her up and I found the lawsuit. Bishop Whitehead, what about the department in Connecticut? Nobody even cared about the robbery. Okay, I mean, at the press conference. And then if he would have just been quiet. So it's so many people that it seems like they thrust themselves in the media and then they get mad the media doesn't respond the way it is. It doesn't play out in their mind the way they think it is. And then all of a sudden it's the media's fault. So then she sits down. And then the judge said, Mr. Whitehead, do you have anything to say? We like, of course he does. So he said, Your Honor, can I go up to the podium? Can I go up to the podium? He was like, she reluctantly was like, okay. He was like,
right. She had to think about it. She had to think about it for a minute. He did the Cupid shuffle.
His feet were still shackled. His feet were still shackled. So he had to like penguin his way up to the podium. So then he says, I'm just going to do the first part and I'm going to let you, because I know you got a lot of notes on this.
Let me get to my notes.
I think you paying attention, but you got to if you're going to do the Whitehead, you're going to have to put into it. Okay. All right. I'm just practicing. But he starts out, he's like, good morning. Thank you for allowing me to talk. And then he was like,
he grabbed the tissue too, babe. Get the tissue. Gotta get his tissue.
When I was remanded. Go ahead. Go ahead.
First of all, you gotta talk lower because remember he was talking.
He was very humble. He was not. Well, I don't want to use humble with him in the same sentence, but he was like he didn't have the confident voice. He really
he wasn't talking like he was talking on
timid.
IG.
Timid is the best way to say.
Timid. He was like, Anna. Your Honor, you made me laugh. When I was remanded, Your Honor, I had time to think, and I had time to reflect on the word remorse. And I was like, oh shit, is he about to apologize and take some responsibility?
I did too. I said, you better smack me. Because I said, there's no way. We looked at each other like, he about to apologize. He is really sorry.
Right. I said, oh shit, here we go.
I said, come on, God, do your thing. And then what happened next?
And then he went left again. Then he started. So then he said, you know, I was housed in a jail. I was immediately, put on lockdown, and it's a horrendous jail, Your Honor. It's a horrendous jail. I couldn't talk to my family. I couldn't talk to my kids. Couldn't talk to my legal team. I was 24 hours a day. 24 hours, and I had time to think. I said, okay, here we go. He getting back to it. He getting back to it. Okay. I had time to think. He said, last week was the anniversary of my father's death, and that's just really, that's really, really hard on me.
He said it was rough for him, Lisa, because last week was the anniversary.
He said, I've spent my father's day. I couldn't talk to my kids because we was on lockdown. Couldn't talk to my kids. And Your Honor, it's just been really, really hard on me.
Wait a minute. He said he's on, Your Honor, I've only taken 4 showers since I've been here.
Yeah, I've only taken about 4 showers.
4 showers. And he looked
I was like, where? So now I'm thinking, where's the remorse? Like, how can we get back to the remorse? So then he said, so Your Honor, first of all.
Oh, wait a minute. The food is terrible.
Oh, yeah, the food is
The
terrible.
milk is spoiled.
The milk is spoiled. Yeah. So then he said, so Your Honor, before you could talk about remorse, I said, okay, we back. He said, first, you got to look up the word remorse. I said, okay. He said, to have remorse, you have to have wisdom, integrity, and love. So then I was thinking, I don't know what fucking word he looked up, but I don't remember. I didn't know what definition he was using.
I didn't know where he was going with this. I'm gonna be honest.
By that point, I was lost. I needed a GPS.
I've seen a lot of things in my career, but I don't know where he was going with this. But I was willing to sit there for you guys to see where this was going.
I needed a GPS at that point. So then my notes. So you might have something. Hold on, I'm gonna tell you where my notes go next. So then I wrote, here we go with his life history. 3 children. They need their father. That's what I wrote next. So if you got something else, that is what I wrote next.
No, because he talked about the remorse. He said, but you have to have love before you can have remorse. And he said, and you have to be filled with God in order to be remorseful. I was like, what?
Right. I said,
Then he talked about his kids and stuff. Go ahead.
He talked about the robbery on July 24th, Your Honor. I was robbed.
No, you got to get when he talk about the kids. He's like, I had 3 biological kids whose life is at stake right now. Like he made it like because of him going to prison, he said, I have 3 biological kids and their life is at stake now. They need their dad. My son is in his last 2 years of high school. My daughters need their dad. Family is dear to him. Family's dear to me. Family is dear. My grandma just died. That was my everything. She was my best friend.
He said, Your Honor, July the 24th, my church was robbed. Gun was put to my wife's head, my dead 5-month-old daughter. Your Honor, I just, and then 3 months, and the whole world turned on me, Your Honor. The whole world thought that I had something to do with it. But then 3 months later, when they arrested 2 out of the 3, nobody apologized.
Because some people still thought that you had something to do with it. I mean, they did.
And then, Your Honor, a couple of months later, police raided my house, and then I got arrested. I've been dealing with so much these last couple of years, Your Honor. I've been dealing with so much.
He said the jury wasn't able to see this side of me because, they filed motions. They filed motions to stop me. So the jury wasn't able to see this, but you're able to see who I am.
When he said that the jury wasn't able to see this side of me,
questions. He was like, I'm a pillar in this community. I'm not just a pastor, I'm a bishop.
Yes.
Okay, he go into all his programs, all the good stuff.
That's the part I wanted to pause. Now, Pam, we have been following Bishop Whitehead for a year and a half, right? Me and you and me, must never pause. Okay, for a year and a half. And we have heard this man talk ad nauseum about all the things that he has done in the community. He talked about 5,000 times how he shut down cookies and gave away them damn gift cards.
And them turkeys.
He talked about them turkeys. He talked about
he expanded his services on today for sentencing. He did.
That's what I was gonna say. He talked about the turkey giveaway, the toy giveaway. Remember, he even talked about buying everybody's groceries.
He did.
Pam, today, this mofo, he had a BET experience for the people, and he took them down to the BET and introduced them to celebrities. He had a cooking experience where he paired kids who wanted to go into the culinary arts with local restaurants. He had a hospital program where kids who wanted to be doctors were able to go into, he listed about 5 different hospitals where they could meet cardiologists and orthodontist. He named about 5 different types of doctors. He even had a teen summit. And then he said, and even though, Your Honor, I didn't create this program, I was a big part of the program that
ceasefire.
The ceasefire program. But you know what he also had to add?
Neighborhood.
But you know what he also had to add to that one, Pam? He said, and everybody got credit and everybody got paid off of that program except for me.
He did. He said, and I risked my life because everybody had vests on. And he walked in there and he didn't have vest on. I was like,
what up, Lady JJ? What's up, Star? I see you. Okay, I'm sorry.
Then he mentioned I did turkey giveaways. I did toys. I gave away clothes. I want to be like, and you owe child support. So
like, now in the past 2 years, he ain't mentioned none of this shit.
None of that, no.
Nothing. None of that. Then, child, he wanted to. Okay, hold on.
He said he took his own money.
He said he helped pass the bill. Now listen, can I, Pam? I'm gonna say this and then I'm gonna let you go to your notes. Ernesto, hey, Ernesto, you might want to send a kite to the federal prison where Whitehead is gonna be, because according to Whitehead, he helped get a bill passed that provides iPads and tablets to inmates.
Mm-hmm.
Them same iPads and tablets that they release in your text messages.
Well, he was saying that he went to the assembly person and he presented the idea for them to be able to communicate with their families by using iPads, so they could email or text their families. And so he said, because of him, he gave them the idea, and then it went into a bill, ended up going into, and the bill ended up passing. So now they can use the tablets and they can stay connected with their families while they're in jail. And somebody in the audience was like, like they knew whether that wasn't necessarily true, because they just, I was paying attention to some of the like size and all of that in the audience, because it was interesting, some of the people that was there, because there was a couple of people that clearly just wanted to see what was going to happen to them, but they wasn't bloggers. They were just there, like, so I don't know what type of connection it was. And there was a lot of AUSAs that were in there, other
whole class in there.
They came in like they were marching up in church to the choir stand. Okay, it was a whole lot of them, and they came in and they went and they sat towards the back. So I'm assuming a lot of this too, because it was a quote high profile case, they probably looking to see what sentencing looks like. So it's a learning experience for them. But it was pretty packed in there. It was a lot of people that was in there. Thank you, Sam. She said, great job. I appreciate you. But yeah, so then he goes into the NYPD and how he's helped the guy turn himself in. Y'all heard about the Q train, right? Raise your hand if you heard about the Q train. With the Q train, when he ended up, helping the guy turn himself in when he had unalived somebody on the Q train. But then all the articles you see, they say it's not true. But he brought that up too.
Mm-hmm.
He said, because of this, okay, I'm gonna let you after this. He said, because of this, I couldn't talk about, because of these I told you I couldn't talk about this for the jury. He said, but I couldn't talk about my upbringing because of their emotions. He said, but the reason why I am what I am, or who I am, and why I do the things that I do, is because my father was a community leader. He was a man of integrity. And then he talked about Al Sharpton and all of them, how they banded together, and I guess to try to rally or start some program, I guess, or some initiative because of the police that killed his father or whatnot. I don't know if you got more notes on it, but I don't heard so much about the father. I'm
gonna be honest with you. He just said his father started. I think it was called the 5 Points or the 5 Corners or something.
Yeah, I couldn't remember the name of it.
He threw Al Sharpton in there. He said Al Sharpton was a part of the program. I think he just threw Al Sharpton name in there, child. I'll probably I don't know you, sir. I don't know.
They said they took a stand when his father was unjustly murdered. So apparently, I'm assuming maybe, and Lolisa can let us know, but I am assuming that when Mr. Miller passed away, there was probably some we shall overcome marching in them streets when it happened. Yeah. And maybe that's what he's talking about, because that would be around the time where Al Sharpton was trying to get his bearings on the whole civil rights. Yeah. After he, was trying to represent old girl that was lying.
And I think I remember that. I think I remember that, reading that somewhere or something like that. I do think I remember reading Al Sharpton's name was somewhere in the mix, because like you said, around that time he was trying to be counted. So
yeah, that's when he was really trying to be an activist. That's how he got up in that situation with that Jessie Smollett that day. That lady, that little girl that last said she got essayed, and it was not true. But he said, I'm innocent. But just because I'm innocent doesn't mean that people haven't been affected. I said, okay, maybe he gonna say something.
Right. Every time I thought he was about to come back around, Pam, I was like, okay. And then he would lose me again.
Yeah. What'd he say? Go ahead. Yeah, Tawana
I'm innocent. but that doesn't mean people haven't been affected. I'm very remorseful. I said, okay, we back to remorseful. I'm very remorseful because I have been affected. No, I'm sorry, my bad. Because they have been affected. He said he started talking about Pauline Anderson and Rasheed and how he had relationships with them. And then he said, Your Honor, I paid their mortgage. I paid their car note. I gave them food when they needed groceries. Your Honor,
the judge was like, excuse me, Mr. Whitehead. This is the judge. Excuse me, Mr. Whitehead. I don't mean to interrupt you, but we heard a lot of this before on the stand. You don't need to repeat this.
He said, okay, Your Honor.
And then when wait a minute, when he said I paid the mortgage, Miss Anderson was like, oh Jesus.
Yeah. So then once he did that, he kind of had to regroup because you know he had all his notes written on. They were handwritten notes because you know he been in jail, he been in lockdown, so they were handwritten notes. So he had to shuffle. You could hear he's like.
He had to have about 3-4 pages or something full of where he was going to talk about all the stuff he did to help the Anderson. But what he was trying to say is he's remorseful to the Andersons because he and Rasheed had a close relationship and now they don't have it anymore. So that's where his remorse is.
A broken relationship.
But he didn't know. He said he ain't know Miss Pauline. She only came to the church like 4 times. So he ain't really know her.
Which proved the point, and that's why
he only seen her 4 times. Not went to the church, but he only seen her like 4 times.
Right.
Or something.
Which proved the point because the judge brought that up later on. She said, you did perjure yourself. You said you like, and she gave the example. Like you said,
wait, we not at the judge yet.
My bad. You know my brain be going left. Okay. He said, I loved and supported them. I'm remorseful of the broken relationships, Your Honor. And then that's when she interrupted him. She said, we are not here to retry this case. Okay, we are not. So then he had to flip around. We heard him flipping, trying to figure out, like you said, like Pam said, what can I skip? She said she don't want to hear this. So then he said, okay, I was never trying to hurt.
It again. He said, I loved and supported them. So to believe that I would intentionally hurt them, I'm very remorseful of the broken relationship. And the judge intervened again. The second time it was like, Mr. Whitehead, I hate to interrupt you, but we're here to impose a sentence, not to retry this case. The jury rendered their verdict.
Right. She said the jury already rendered their verdict. But women, why she say with the preponderance of evidence?
No, so that's beyond a reasonable doubt. So she didn't say that really. Preponderance of the evidence is a very low.
She did say that. She said it was a lot of evidence.
That was later on when she was.
Oh, okay, my bad.
I keep skipping ahead. Says the jury found one count by beyond a reasonable doubt, but she believes the other information that you were accused of that they didn't charge you with was proven by a preponderance of evidence. But that's
okay. My bad. They said we're not working well together. My bad. Okay, I'm gonna get back. He said, Your Honor, I was never trying to hurt or scam anybody. He said, I would not have taken their money. I didn't need it. You saw, Your Honor, that during those 2 years, over $2 million went through my Wells Fargo account. I didn't hurt anyone. I put that in quotes. He said that, Pam. He said, I didn't hurt anyone. I need to be with my family, Your Honor. I need to be with my kids. If you won't do it for me,
he said, I've been a hallmark to this community.
Mm-hmm. He said, please give me probation, Your Honor. I'm a poster child. He said, make me the poster child of another chance.
Your Honor, I'm an honorable man and my children need me. My family needs me. I'm 46 years old and I'm asking for mercy. I'm asking for mercy. Your Honor, please don't put me in prison. Please don't put me in prison. I didn't mean to hurt anybody.
Pam, this is what he said, and I put this in quotes. He said, Your Honor, if you can't do it for me, do it for my kids. Hold on. He said, Your Honor,
said, I do apologize.
Wait, but I wasn't finished my line, Pam. I wasn't finished my line.
But you ahead, though. Like that, you missed a whole lot before you even get to that.
I told y'all Pam be taking more notes than me. Okay, go ahead.
I got like 2 paragraphs. Like, what are you talking about right now?
My bad. Go ahead, then. Go ahead, girl. Go ahead.
He said, allow me to be, you said after the poster trial, he said, I do apologize for any miscommunications. So he's basically still saying he's innocent and the only issues was really miscommunication.
Oh, I did write that. That is in my notes right there. I apologize.
He said, I would have never tried to hurt them. No one from my church can ever come and make these same allegations that Rasheed and them have made. So nobody from his church who is on there is going to say that he's ever done that. He said, I respect the law. Placing me in prison at 46, guys at the MDC, I have them by like 20 years. I just want to be able to pour into my children because I know what it is to not have a father. I asked God, why did I have to go through this? But I still believe God. I ask Your Honor if you would please give me an opportunity. You know, one thing that I noticed, he said, I'm here as a father and a son. He ain't say he was here as no husband. Did you catch that?
Child, he didn't mention his wife. He never said nothing about being married. Never said nothing about his wife. He did not mention Asia, honey.
He said, I am here as a father and a son. I said, no husband?
He never said nothing about being a husband.
Please give me probation so I can be with my family, children, and my church. He did have some members there, so he got a couple of people. Like Rasheed said, he was surprised that they were there, whoever they were. I don't know.
First of all, it was 6 people there from his church. That is the whole congregation.
Somebody said, I wonder what happened to his wife. She was doing Breakfast of Champions while we was at court.
She was live with that baby this morning.
Yeah, she did not miss Breakfast of Champions this morning.
She did
Come on in. Come on in. I see you. I see you guys. Come on in. This is the day that the Lord has made. Come on in, guys. Where you coming from? Let me know where you coming from. I see you over there from Bahamas. Hey, Jamaica. I see you guys. That's what she was doing.
And was.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead and do his last begging and pleading before you get to the
judge. He said, Your Honor, I ask that you just let me go home. He said, especially since there's no mandatory minimum. I said, what?
He want probation.
He said, let me go home to my family. And I wrote under here, his confidence is gone. Because baby, it was rough. It was rough. Yeah. Like watching him like that, I'm telling, and I'm not even
never seen him like that ever.
Yeah,
like,
I'm not even saying this to be funny, y'all. Yeah, all of that bravado, all of it was gone, y'all. It was gone, and I'm not saying that for nobody to feel sorry for him. Please no.
But the air is out the balloon. But you know what? And it would have been a good time to really just say, you know, I really reflected, and even though my intent was not to take Miss Anderson, I'm gonna do whatever I can. He could have turned around and said to get you your money back. Anything, because it was, he took it like there's no, and he spent it how he wanted. Like they show how he spent the money. There is really nothing. There is nothing to like negate that fact. So it's like at least say that. And then he said, you know, with the houses, nothing I could really do but do better and be a better person. I made some mistakes. I didn't have the intent of what I did. Sometimes I let things go overwhelm me. You could have even tried to make it seem like because you like to do for the public or something. You was trying to do things to try to help the public, and you just got, you know, did whatever you felt you needed to do, and it was wrong. Something. He just really, it was all over the place. But I think because the last time, like I read that transcript of how he was making it like he's the victim, he tried to change it up a little bit, but it just wasn't, it still wasn't, you know, he maintains his innocence. And why, I really, honestly, I don't know. I don't know.
So you got anything else, or is that what he showed?
Yeah, he said, I hope this speech moves you in the right way. Please turn me over to my family. Thank you for your time. Judge's like, thank you. And then she go ahead and read everything because she already had it in her head what she was gonna do before she sat on this bench.
Yeah. And again, if he had come in there and humbled himself, I'm not saying she would have changed her mind, but I think it would have been a better reception. But I think him not taking any responsibility just confirmed whatever it was she had already decided to do.
Yeah. So go ahead with the judge, because you done jumped in about the judge a couple of times.
Well, I apologize. I'm gonna shut up because somebody said I was giving him a headache. So let me shut up.
Oh my goodness.
Oops, excuse me.
Again.
So the judge was saying, and again, Pam, I may not have taken the same notes, so I'm gonna just read y'all what I have. The judge started speaking and said, you know, a lot of this case has focused on the Andersons, but there were other cases here to consider. She said, there is no question that you stole millions. I said, damn.
Mm-hmm.
I said, no question that you stole millions? She said, the evidence is overwhelmingly that you lied about the loans. So she was actually focused more on the loans. I mean, I think her thing was, we get it. You took the money from Ms. Anderson, right. But she was really focused on these loans and the fact that she said, whether you got the loan or didn't get the loan really is of no consequence.
Yeah. She said, I think the reason why, I know the reason why she did that was because the Andersons were the only ones that came and talked.
Mm-hmm.
And then you had a lot of the conversation with the AUSA was about the Andersons because they were there. They are physical people that were affected. When you talk about entities, we're not saying they're not affected, but they're not as like a human being. There's a difference.
Right. And people don't have a lot of sympathy for banks and stuff.
Right. Not at all. Like even when I don't want to get into that from the legal standpoint, but right. Yeah. But yeah, she was basically saying that that's just one charge, and she went through all the other charges. She said you stole $85,000 from her retirement that you never repaid. And then she said you also stole from the body shop owner. You tried to extort him out of the $500,000 and tried to threaten to get the $5,000 from him, threatened them to get the $5,000. So then you took out the fraudulent loan applications. Some were granted and some were denied. But there's no question that you tried to take out these loan applications. So, when she started out, before she got to that, she was just letting everyone know that there's a lot of factors that you go into. So when you start out, you have the guidelines, which is just the general something that one of the factors, and then you have statutory guidelines where you look at the nature of the crime, nature of the circumstances, the personal history and character, societal purposes, deterrence for you and for people around you. So she let everybody know when she was saying she know a lot of people weren't attorneys, but that she's taking a whole lot into consideration, including she has to protect the public. And then she has to do a sentence that's sufficient, but no greater than what's necessary. So that's what the standard is. So she let everybody know where she was getting what she came up with. And she talked about how she presided over that trial, and she's went over all the records. She said, I went over all the motions. She said she know the facts like the back of her hand, pretty much. She was like, I know the facts of this case. She said, and the motions, just to let you know, they're all denied. I just got to proofread.
Denied.
It's like they're all denied. I just have to go proofread it. So like you guys know, he did an order for acquittal. So she's already filed that. Whereas on March 25th, 2024, defendant filed a motion for a judgment of acquittal and for a new trial under Federal Rule of Criminal Procedure 29 and 33. It is hereby ordered that defendant's motion is denied. The opinion will follow. So she put the order that it was denied, and I guess she said she got to wait for her proofreading before we can see why she came up with the opinion that she did.
The judge said, sir, you perjured yourself under oath. For example, you said you never spoke to Miss Anderson. Now, he sat there and admitted how many times he had talked to and met Miss Anderson in his own damn statement that he gave in front of the judge 5 minutes before that. She said, Mr. Whitehead, I just don't see any remorse for your conduct.
Before that, though, she said, I know you stated you're remorseful. I hope it means you're sorry. Like she almost wanted to teach her what remorseful meant. She was like, I hope that you're I hope the definition of remorseful in your mind is I'm sorry. Go.
And I don't have this word for word, Pam. You might have this word for word. But this when she went into talking about how I have conduct over the course of this, the same conduct over the course of your life, which means that you will do it again. That's what I wrote.
Yeah, she said that he has a high chance of recidivism. Remember when I was reading in the last video and I said, oh, he has a high chance of doing it again because you've gotten jail time and that didn't stop you from doing the same exact stuff all over again. So yeah.
Says, sir, you have 5 criminal convictions. It concerns me that they're all the same crimes. The same kind of crimes. Prison did not seem to deter you at all. And my concern is that you don't seem to have an appreciation or the fact of your crimes or the impact of your crimes on other people. Because remember, he said he ain't hurt nobody. This the part right here, Pam. You said that you would pay back the money that's owed in restitution. But sir, you have no money. The money you've used is stolen money.
She did say that. She said, I don't see how you plan on doing that when all the money that you've got has been in a fraudulent manner.
Just
so I don't how you plan on paying people back. Because that's what his argument was, and for his attorney, that he needs to be out so that he can at least build a career, because he's not going to be able to do real estate anymore. Because if you Google him, nobody's going to trust him because of all it is. So he's going to have to find a whole nother career. And because of that, if he's out, then he'll have an opportunity to pay people back. It's like, but you've been out and you ain't paid nobody.
Right. You've had all this time.
That's the real kicker. You've been out. You ain't even tried to make payment arrangements. You think Miss Pauline wouldn't have took the little payment arrangement? She want all her money. She don't want to settle for less because she ain't give you less. Everybody doesn't settle. And I think that's what he was maybe waiting on, a lesser amount. No, give me all my money. You out here trying to challenge people to $1 million fights. Give me my money.
Right.
You know, you up here with watches and name brand backpacks and crossbodies and Louis Vuitton and all of that. Give me all of, can we say all of my money?
My money.
That's it. But what she was saying, she said she was very troubled.
Mm-hmm.
She was very troubled at the nature of the crimes and the dishonesty. And it feels like there was no real effect of deterrence when he went to jail. So you went to jail for basically the same stuff and you had no deterrence. Now, she did say so some of this stuff helped him because she said she does take into account what he says. She knows that he was raised by his mom. He had a difficulty upbringing. She ain't bring up the father, but she did say he had a difficult upbringing. Said he seems to be in good physical health. She's credited him like that in 2012 he took classes in theological seminary. He's a lead pastor. She's read letters, that talked about all his works. So she said in his positive effect on the community. And she said, so I do take that into consideration, but that doesn't take away that you engaged in fraud. He said those are just mitigating factors. And basically, she said if he did not do those things in the community and all the things that she's listed, he would have got a higher sentence. She said, so those are mitigating factors. So she would have given him something higher. So that's why I was like, well, why didn't? Because the government said in their sentencing memo that they couldn't confirm or deny that he even engaged in any of this stuff that he said that he did. Because the only thing we seen was cookies. That's the only. And why wouldn't we believe if he did all this stuff, it wouldn't be on video?
Okay.
Like cookies. So he was able to list a plethora of things saying what he's done. And, it ended up helping him, according to the judge. I don't know. That's what she said. It ended up helping him that now it's a mitigating factor to help him where she said he would have got more years if it wasn't for that. So, did you have any other quotes that you wanted to
No, I go into the sentencing. My notes go into the sentencing.
Yeah, she goes into the same factors again and says, we're here to sentence you. I'm not putting much on the guidelines. Like I told you guys, I'm not putting too much into the guidelines. He said the purpose is to respect the law, deterrence, protect the public. Said, I don't think you have an appreciation for the impact of your crimes. Said, for example, the restitution, fine, forfeiture. It's unclear how you're going to pay it. That's what she said.
Yeah, well, we don't know how
you keep saying that, but it's unclear how you even going to pay this. He said all your money has come from fraudulent activities.
Indeed.
And then she said, I think you need incarceration and a supervised release where it can help you. Supervised release will put your life back, to help you put your life back together and help you be a law-abiding citizen.
And help you find something to do other than steal people money.
Yep. So then she just hit him with the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. She's like, you have 100. I'm sentencing you, sir, to custody in the federal prison of 108 months on counts 1, 2, 3, and 5 collectively, and 36 months on count 4 to run concurrently. So that's why the 36 months doesn't really count, because if she did it consecutive, then it would have got added on to the 108 months. But she did it concurrently, so he'll be finished with that. It's running at the same time as the other ones. 3 year supervised release. So then he would have to she said she gave some conditions as well. Like they got certain conditions. So then she signed the order of forfeiture and she did an order of restitution. She's already filed that too. The order of restitution reads, upon the application of the United States of America by its attorney, Damian Williams, United States Attorney for the Southern District of New York, Jessica Greenwood, Jane Kim, and Derek Wilkerson. Derek Wickstrom is the one that did the sentencing argument. Assistant USA of Counsel, the pre-sentence investigation report, the defendant's conviction on counts 1 through 5 of indictment, and all of the preceding is the case, it is hereby ordered that the amount of restitution, for those that were asking, Lamar Whitehead, the defendant, shall pay restitution in total amount of $85,000 pursuant to 18 U.S.C. section 3663A to the victims of the offense charged in count 1 of the indictment. So Miss Pauline's supposed to get her money back. The names, addresses, and specific amounts owed to each victim are set forth in the schedule of victims attached here to a Schedule A. Upon advice by the U.S. Attorney's Office of change of address to the victims, the clerk of court is authorized to send payments to the new address without further order of the court. Joint and several liability restitution is not joint and several with other defendants, so it's just him by himself. Apportionment among victims pursuant to the statute, all non-federal victims must be paid before the United States is paid. So she get to get her money before the USA. Restitution shall be paid to the victim identified in schedule of victims attached as Exhibit A. The schedule of payment pursuant to the statute in consideration of the financial resources and other assets of the defendant, including whether any of these assets are jointly controlled, projected earnings and other income of the defendant, and any financial obligations of the defendant, including obligations to dependents. The defendant shall pay restitution in the manner and according to the schedule that follows. In the interest of justice, restitution will be payable in installments pursuant to the statute while serving the term of imprisonment. You paying while you in prison. The defendant shall make installment payments toward restitution and may do so through the Bureau of Prisons, inmate financial responsibility. Any unpaid amount remaining upon release from prison will be paid in installments of at least 10% of the defendant's gross income on the 15th of each month. Payment instructions. They tell you where you're going to drop off that certified check and that money order. Notify the court within 30 days if there's some change in circumstances. And let me see. The defendant shall pay interest on any restitution amount of more than $2,500 unless restitution is paid in full before the 15th day after the date of the judgment. Term of liability. The defendant's liability to pay restitution shall terminate on the date that is the later of 20 years from the entry of the judgment or 20 years after the defendant's release from imprisonment. So you got to, about 29 years to pay this. Subject to the time limitation of the preceding sentence, in the event of the death of the defendant's estate will be held responsible for any unpaid balance of the restitution amount and any lien filed pursuant to the statute shall continue until the estate receives a written. So if you die, then your estate got to pay for it. My.
Although we come to the end of the road, still I can't. No. Okay.
It's over 2,000 of you guys. Make sure you hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you have not done so already. Whereas on or about March 7th of 2023, Lamar Whitehead was charged with 5 counts on a superseding indictment with wire fraud in violation of Title 18. Count 1, attempted wire fraud in violation of Title 18, Section 1343. And count 2, attempted extortion in violation of 18 U.S.C. 1951. False statements in violation of Title 18 U.S.C. 1001. And wire fraud in violation of Title 18 U.S.C. 1343. Whereas the indictment included a forfeiture allegation as to counts 1, 2, 3, and 5 of the indictment, seeking forfeiture to the United States pursuant to Title 18, Section 981A1C and Title 28, U.S. Code Section 2461C, of any and all property, real and personal, that constitutes or is derived from proceeds traceable to the commission of the offenses charged, and counts 1, 2, 3, and 5. So they can go through and they can find that Louis Vuitton, that Polo, all of that stuff is forfeited. Because he bought that stuff according to the bank statements with Miss Pauline's money. including but not limited to a sum of money in United States currency representing the amount of proceeds traceable to the commission of the offenses charged in counts 1, 2, 3, 5 of the indictment. Whereas on or about March 11th of 2024, following a jury trial, the defendant was found guilty of counts 1 through 5 of the indictment, whereas the government asserts that $95,000 in U.S. currency represents the amount of proceeds traceable to the offense charged in counts 1 through 3 and 5 of the indictment that the defendant personally obtained, whereas the government seeks the entry of money judgment in the amount of $95,000 in U.S. currency, representing the amount of proceeds traceable to the offenses charged in count 1 through 3 and 5 of the indictment that the defendant personally obtained. And whereas the court finds that as a result of the acts and omissions of the defendant, the proceeds traceable to the offenses charged in counts 1 through 3 and 5 of the indictment that the defendant personally obtained cannot be located upon the exercise of due diligence. Now, therefore, it is ordered, adjudged, and decreed that as a result of the offenses charged in counts 1 through 3 and 5 of the indictment to which the defendant was found guilty, a money judgment in the amount of $95,000 in U.S. currency representing the amount of proceeds traceable to the offense charged in counts 1 through 3 and 5 of the indictment that the defendant personally obtained shall be entered against the defendant pursuant to Rule 32.2b4 of the Federal Rules of Criminal Procedures. This preliminary order of forfeiture and money judgment is final as to defendant Lamore Whitehead and shall be deemed part of the sentence of the defendant and shall be included in the judgment conviction therewith. Good gosh. All payments on the outstanding money judgment shall be made by postal money order. They're telling you how to do it. Bank or certified check made payable to the U.S. Marshal Services and delivered by mail to the U.S. Attorney's Office. The U.S. Marshal Service is authorized to deposit the payments on the money judgment into the Assets Forfeiture Fund, and the United States shall have clear title to such forfeited property. Pursuant to Title 21, U.S. Code Section 853P, the United States is authorized to seek forfeiture of substitute assets of the defendant up in the uncollected amount of the money judgment. Pursuant to Rule 32.2b3 of the Federal Rules of Criminal Procedure, the United States Attorney Office is authorized to conduct any discovery needed to identify, locate, depose. They about to find it. They said they gonna still got subpoena power and they're gonna do whatever needs to be done, and that's just what it is.
Yep.
So a lot of people, all of y'all asking about Miss Pauline, the government is trying their best to get her money back.
I really wish, if not for anything else, but for Miss Pauline, I really wish that his house had not been auctioned off for probably about another couple of months. Because my question, and I'm not even being funny, my question is, who went into his house and packed his house up when he got remanded? Because his arrogance, I don't think he thought that through. So who went in your house and packed up all of that stuff before? Because his house was auctioned off 2 weeks after he was remanded. Yeah. So I only wish that it wasn't auctioned off prior to this, so that they could have gone into the house and seized whatever was there that he, even something like a couple of legitimate Gucci handbags or Louis Vuitton, that's a couple of $1,000s. I mean, it may not seem like a lot, but
jewelry too. He still does.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He had jewelry. The we know he didn't own the cars and stuff like that, but the bags and the suits and all of that stuff, the stuff that was real. Because he did have real stuff mixed in with some of the stuff that wasn't so real. But even if he only had 10 Louis Vuitton bags, a Louis Vuitton bag is going to run you anywhere from $1,500 to over that. So you figure 10 Louis Vuitton bags, that's $20,000, 10, 15. You know what I mean? I don't know. I just, because now that the house has been where's that stuff? Who has it? Who took it? Did anybody take it? Did the bank, whoever bought the house, did they just take control? You know what I'm saying?
They we hit a lick. We got a house full of everything. We just hit a lick.
Exactly.
Need to go that Pam, can Miss Pauline file a civil suit against them? That's what started all of this. She filed a civil lawsuit. That's what started all of this rolling.
Mm-hmm. And I understand that his wife might have went in there, but that's why I'm saying, had the house still been I don't know. Anyway, I'm just saying I wish that there could have been a way to get to the stuff that he left. That's all I'm saying. That's
but
all.
see, and then that's the same thing when they trace it. Do they trace it to the stuff that he's bragged about? Well, I know a lot of her stuff got stolen at the robbery, like the ring and all of that stuff that he bragged about. But he's bragged about a lot of stuff, like when he bought her that truck. I don't know. I don't think she has it anymore. A lot of the stuff I don't know if she even has, but I know when he upgraded her ring.
Yeah, remember when he upgraded her ring? Remember the ring, the earrings he bought his mama?
The earrings he bought the mama.
Yeah.
And she was like, these expensive. I don't want to put these on you. So she's like, mama. I was like, because he wanted to show off that he bought his mama some diamond earrings on Facebook.
Yeah. Can I say something real quick, Pam? We almost done. I know we wrapping up. So, hey, everybody. I know that, a lot of y'all don't know who I am on Pam's side because, Pam got the 2,000-3,000 people in the chat. I'm ReallyBTV. I have my own channel, and I've been following this case as well. And Pam and I went to the sentencing, so that's why we're doing this together. A lot of people were like, they don't know who I am, and who am I, and am I a mod, and all of that stuff. So you are a mod, though. No, I am a mod, but so that's why we're kind of doing this together because I didn't want my people, because a lot of my people are subscribed to Pam as well, so we could just do one live rather than, going back and forth. But a lot of my people are subscribed to Pam. But if you're new to me, I'm ReallyBTV, and yes, I also do YouTube. And Pam has been very gracious in sharing her legal expertise when it comes to gracious girl.
Not the Value Village firm. I'm not playing. See, now you guys got to start cutting up. Now y'all about to start cutting up.
Yeah, but a lot of y'all don't know me because people been look. I've been reading the comments now. It's a lot of people that don't know me. So, but I appreciate y'all though. But yeah.
Can I say y'all a secret? That's what he said. He said he was legally married. Now, how long she gonna stay married to him after this is gonna be the
married child. That's what the man said.
That's what they said in the document. They put legally, and they did it because people been questioning his marriage. I'm sure that's why they put legally married. Benson said the worst prison to get into is federal prison. You are in that cell by yourself without other inmates and you are locked down. I don't know what prison. Most people go to camps. So I don't know. Like they go to those camps in West Virginia and stuff. So I don't know anybody that's been in that situation.
And these are white collar crimes. I mean, I know that a lot of us are vested in it, but these are white collar crimes. So,
Yeah. So then after the fact, we went in the hallway. And then we got a chance to kick it with that's when Pauline and when we were sitting down and the Andersons came in, they spoke. I've actually been in contact with Rasheed. I've never met Pauline personally. This was the first time, but I've actually been in contact with Rasheed. So like I knew he was coming today and all of that. But his mom, as you see, it's very hard for her to talk about this. So she said he basically had to force her to come. And she was just explaining how this has really affected her life. And then Rasheed was throwing little crumbs out there too. First of all, I know y'all in the bushes because you told us now. So we know y'all over there in the bushes. Hey, Andersons.
Hey, y'all.
But he said that Rasheed said that he worked on the campaign with Whitehead. And so one of the things Whitehead mentioned in his sentencing was that he got 10,000 signatures in order for him to be on the ballot or whatever. So apparently those signatures were not legit. All the signatures he got for whatever reason was not legit. And Rasheed, I think he may have, been around for the campaign or maybe helped with the campaign, like the campaign worker we had on here. And so he actually still has some of those documents that are fraudulent, and he's turned them over to the people. So apparently he said he straight up forged a lot of them signatures.
That's what he said.
That's what he said. I'm just reporting.
And I want to say this too, and I say this to the Andersons, and I'm going to say it here. I am so thankful for the Andersons for standing up and following through, even at their own detriment with, financially having to pay for an attorney and their name being a part of this and them, because let's be clear, and I ain't gonna call no names, but I'm gonna say this. A lot of people have reached out to Pam. A lot of people have reached out to me and other YouTubers that follow this, that have been following this story. And everybody wants to tell us about how horrible Whitehead was and the things that he's done. And what all of us have told them is, well, y'all need to contact the authorities, especially once he got indicted. We were like, call and let the people know what's going on, because that may add to what's going on. And a lot of people, I know a lot of you guys are like, that's all he got was 9 years. That's all he got. But if more victims had come forward and more people had told their story, maybe he would have gotten more time. Because trust me when I tell you, it's a whole lot of people in the bushes that reach out to us on the back end and talk about all the horrible things that this man has done to them. But when it's time to go down there, and nobody had nothing to say. So I want to just give a special shout out to the Andersons for being almost being the poster child for this case, because outside of the banks, like Pam said, they're the only real physical victims that came forward. So
yeah. A lady 747, thank you for the super chat. You said, did he have a pattern of preying on immigrants? Well, according to, was it Rush? I don't want to lie on Rasheed, but of course somebody told me that he vulnerable people just in general. It's not really, I don't think it's an immigrant situation. I think that it's he'll see you in certain situations, like you're poor, you're, just in that vulnerable state. And most of those type of people are the ones that seek out the church too. Like you seek the church for solace. And I think he knew that. Like he was able to discern that. And that's why he was preparing. He started Leaders of Tomorrow while he was in prison the first time. He went to prison as a minister, an ordained minister. So yeah, this is my, hey, Willie Brown, thank you for being a member for 26 months.
Hey, Mr. Willie Brown.
Any money on the books will be used for pay 95K. Yes, I already got sent. Alice said, I'm surprised he didn't say he died for our sins. Shelly said, y'all made me spit out my soda. Thank you for the super chat. I saw it earlier, but I didn't acknowledge it, but thank you. Patrice, thank you for the super sticker. Tracy said, did he write Gucci or Fendi on his jumpsuit? May he still have extra roaches since he only got 9 years. Damn. That's not nice, Tracy. And she said that I can hear her saying it too in my mind.
Can't you hear Tracy saying all of these things?
All of them. Jessica and Demetria and Calvin and Sheila and Kimberly, thank you so much for the cash apps. I appreciate it. And we got some earlier when you guys were helping with this good Uber situation. Lolisa, Felicia, and Merle, Sharon, and Cammie, we thank you so much for helping to fund our endeavor over at the courthouse. We appreciate you. Thank you. Hardest working attorney ever. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. That is so kind of you. And you are really called the Bible lady. I'm not playing with you guys. I got to look at these text messages. For all of my Ernest Williams people, I have not looked at these text messages. I heard my name comes up about 10 times when you put a search in there. So they don't like me. Really, B, could you why don't these people like me? I literally just say what it is, what the law is. I don't really care about these people like that. I just, stick to the legal aspects of it. And that's it. Like, why is she talking about me in these texts? She told Ernest, don't go over there on Pan Esquire. Like I was inviting him or something. Did I invite you? Like
She did tell him don't go over there.
Wait till I read them texts. We gonna talk about them texts with my name in it. With my name in it, that's it. I don't want like all the other stuff. I don't know if I could read no 3,000 texts. That's a lot. shout out to y'all that read all the texts already.
I'm about to say,
you guys are the real MVPs. Because I ain't about that life. She told me not to speak to you. But who offered to speak to him? Nobody wanted to talk to him.
Nobody.
Like, that's like, and what's so crazy about all of that is, in the beginning, when I felt it was wrong how they were doing in the process, I said that. When there were things that could have been done that he didn't do, I said that. That's why I think it's quite strange. To me, a lot of the stuff that she has done has been counterproductive. Now you're in text messages trying to you're trying to shut down YouTube channels, and you're trying to put gag orders out. But you were the one that came out with the bright idea to have them out here talking, and you're the one that was the one talking in the first. It's just crazy to me. That is foolish. Like, you came up with all of this. I was the one that said you shouldn't be talking. You shouldn't be talking. You shouldn't be talking. Why not say, why don't you be quiet? I said that. Now you want to say he shouldn't be talking because it didn't happen the way you thought it was. A lady 747. Thank you for the super chat. She said everyone that doesn't like Pam is an ex-con.
Oh boy.
I don't know how to feel about that. Lady Ella said, thank you, Pam. Nestor knows you can read him because you take excellent notes.
Y'all can see how Pam be writing. Her hand just be.
So if you're a trial attorney, you have to dang near take a whole lot if somebody is on the stand. How you gonna properly question them if you missing out some of the stuff that they say that's like key? So I'm just used to like writing out and then crossing out what's not relevant and what is relevant. That's all. And that's what everybody say, like, dang, you ain't even stop. You don't stop, right? I run out of pens. Usually I go, through a couple of pens.
Yeah, we know you run out of pens.
Yeah, so. But anyway, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the live. Thank you guys so much.
Thank
you, Really B, for coming on and being the
thank you. I had a good time. I'm glad that
my strict scrutiny on my note taking. Thank you so much. You're a good sport. We'll see if another.
We had a good time, y'all. We did. We had a good time. We found a really nice place to eat. We had some good cocktails, honey.
We did. And now I'm ready to go to bed. Thank you. Because you're leaving tomorrow.
You and me both. I'm about to go directly to bed. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200.
Thank you, Crystal, for the super chat. I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Great commentary.
Jumpsuit. Now, on that note, good night. Now y'all wrong. Not the jumpsuit.
He did lose weight though. Like,
he lost weight, y'all. He
having a little rough time in there. I mean, don't they give haircuts in there? No.
I wonder if he did that on purpose because
that's what I'm saying. Don't they have ways you can clean yourself up? But I mean, if he's going with the whole he's being mistreated while he's in there, or not mistreated, like that. But that's the conditions are bad because it would be for everybody. But if he's going for that, maybe he wanted to represent that and how he was looking,
maybe. Because when he came in there, honestly, I mean, I knew it was him, obviously. But if I didn't know it was him, I would have had to take a double take. Like, he lost, like I said, his face was a lot slimmer. He had like Pam said, the raggedy beard, hair grew out. He even had on, I don't even think he even had on his regular glasses. I think those were state issue glasses.
Yeah, I don't think it was his regular ones either. I'm trying to see. What did you ask a question, the nurse? I didn't see if you asked a question.
That's how he looks without Gucci.
It's not like he's been locked up for 6. He looked like he's been locked up for 6 months.
Yeah, he do. He really does, y'all. Like, I'm not even.
He does. I'm not joking. Like, we're not over exaggerating. Unfortunately, you can't take pictures or anything in there. You guys was trying to get me put all the way out and in jail, talking about just sneak a picture, just sneak one picture. I'm like, what? Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. They took his Arthur glasses. Chindy Alex.
Not his Arthur glasses. Thank you for the cash app. Thank you, my love. Thank you.
Well, it's a lot of questions in here, so I may miss your question. So that's the purpose of, just because you're a member doesn't mean that I'm going to get your question. So I'm not really sure if you repeat the question and I happen to see it, then I can respond to it. But other than that, I don't. The super chats are highlighted. That's why I'm able to see them. But when you, so yeah, I'm getting off of here because see now you starting to aggravate me. So it's time for me to get off of here.
All right.
All right. Love you guys. Wait a minute. Let me take this down because I don't want this to be the last. Hold on. My son was there for 2 years. It's really bad in there. Oh, where he's being held at? So yes, he saw me. I said that already earlier too.
Yeah, he saw Pam. He gave her a look.
Mm-hmm. So wait a minute though. When he was getting on that elevator, I don't know. I think it's the people talk about the theatrics on kind of how I am, so that might be part of it too. But so what happened is we were standing outside, myself, Really, Rasheed, and Pauline. So we're standing out there. So when the marshals came out with him, because his attorney wanted to meet with him in the courtroom. So I ain't staying there. You know, she was talking to him for a minute. So we're standing in the hallway, and because of where we're standing, they told us we had to move so that they can bring Whitehead out. So they were gonna bring him over on the elevator. So he has on the, all the handcuffs and the shackles and all that. So they come out. It's just so dramatic. So we're just standing there. So I had my back turned to at first while he was going that way. I'm like, no, let me turn around and look at him and see, make sure, even though he was in shackles, I still didn't feel safe. So he gets on the elevator, and you know how like on the movies where you watching the elevator close. So I was sitting there like, I'm about to sit here and watch the elevator close. He gonna be the last person he see again. He didn't even look at me. He went over there and he stared Rasheed down, and Rasheed stared him right back down. Like, I said, dang, I thought he was gonna look at me. He was like, no, he stared me down. I was like, oh. He didn't even pay me no attention.
Yeah, he definitely, he did. He did.
But yeah, he knew he was there. But yeah, it was the dramatics of it all. Because when he came out and he went over there and he's like, got the two marshals next to him. And they do it where like the marshals don't leave you. He's sitting in the chair. And then the marshal is sitting like right behind him in a chair, like right outside of where the lawyers are. But it was two of them, and they told us we had to get out the way, move over or whatever so they can bring him out. And then they brought him in and we stayed there till he got on the elevator. But I was like, I just knew it was going to be like this all the way to the, like, that's what I was thinking. It ain't happen like that. But I didn't see when his mom and them left. You saw that? Because you said his mom was crying and stuff.
Yeah, I saw them when they came out.
Oh.
Yeah, his mom she looked like she was crying a little bit. She looked like she was a little
that's still her baby,
That is still her baby. Her baby.
You's a clown. That's what you. Why don't you call me a cardboard bishop now? Huh? You tough? Call me a cardboard bishop now.
He's not gonna call you that.
Huh?
I'm not gonna call
look on Facebook Live. Call me a cardboard bishop now. You clown. That's what you are. You clown. That's what you are. Why don't you say what you say on Facebook Live, sucker?
No.
Lolisa, I told you might want to go ahead and start that lawsuit and try to get him to stop trying to use your daddy and take your
daddy. Can you stop calling my daddy name?
Yeah, you need to get that together. Because his whole argument literally has to do with, from the good parts of him to the jacked up parts of him, is all because of Arthur Miller. It's very interesting. But anyway, you have any final words? Thank you again for coming up. I appreciate you.
No, I do not. Thank you for letting me come over on your platform and hang out with the intellects for a while. That's about it, honey. I'm about to go get in this good bed because I gotta do it all over again tomorrow. So
all right, see y'all later. I'm gonna go in the membership real quick. So y'all gone over to the membership. I'll give y'all about 20 minutes. I'm about to go over to the membership. I'll talk to y'all later. I'll see y'all in the membership in a few. Thank you so much. Gotta go.
Bye.